This is episode 512, Stop Being Afraid of Being Afraid with Wendy. Welcome to Life Coaching with Christine Hassler, a space where truth and love come together to guide you back to your truest self. Hi, I'm Christine, a master coach, author, and spiritual psychologist. For over 20 years, I've supported people through the deep work of letting go, waking up, and coming home to who they truly are. Each week, you'll hear an unedited, unscripted coaching session with someone moving through a challenge or block in their life. These are tender and powerful conversations where deep healing happens in real time. Even though I'm coaching someone else, you will hear yourself in their story. This is a place where you will feel seen and supported and walk away with insight, emotional relief, and tools you can apply in your own life. Let's dive into today's session. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm actually recording this on 9/9, which is my birthday. And a friend of mine sent me a little info on the portal day, 9/9, even though this is airing on 9/10. Maybe you're listening kind of close to 9/9. So I'll read you the kind of numerical meaning of a 9/9. On September 9th, we experienced a very rare 999 portal that aligns perfectly with the lunar eclipse we just experienced. The universe is speaking clearly. It's time to close old chapters so something new can be born, something that will lead to your next adventure. Release what is heavy, expired, and out of alignment with who you truly are. 999 is a divine remember that endings are beginnings in disguise. And this is a beautiful segue to today's call. Wendy is really at the precipice of choosing whether her old patterns and her old perceptions and the way she has seen herself and what she believes about herself will continue to define the actions she takes, the thoughts she has, and the life she creates, or if she's going to shift into new perceptions, new patterns, new belief systems, or I actually should say updated. Because sometimes we don't need something new. We just actually need to update our belief about things. For example, if you're really scared about something, which is one of the topics we address in the show today, it's not about getting to the belief of nothing scares me or I feel totally sure and confident about that. It's more the belief of just because something scares me, it doesn't mean it has to stop me. Fear does not mean I quote unquote shouldn't do something. And that's what Wendy and I really discuss in today's call. Speaking of fear, some of you might have fear or reservations about coming to my retreat in October. You've heard me talk about it. Maybe you followed the show for a while. Maybe you're new, but something may be resonating with you about, wow, I really want to go, or there could be something really great there for me. But fear is getting in your way. Fear about money, fear about traveling, fear about leaving your kids, fear about being in a room full of women, fear about being in a room full of people you don't know, fear about the processes, fear. All right, you're scared. That's okay. That doesn't have to be a problem. What I can assure you of is that when you come into that room on Friday, the fear will start to subside. We create such a feeling of safety, of belonging, of nurturing, compassion. It's one of the safest rooms you can walk into in the world. And I don't say that lightly. So if there's fear there, that's okay. Don't let it stop you from putting yourself into an experience that truly is life-changing. We're coming up. We're a little over a month away. Go to christinehassler.com/retreat. And we are at the point now in the enrollment process where we can start offering some partial scholarships. So if money is really your only objection, email jill@christinehassler.com. And if you're feeling generous and you can't come to the retreat, but you want to scholarship someone else to come, you can also email jill@christinehassler.com, and we will graciously use your generosity to support another woman or women in joining us. Again, all the information is christinehassler.com/retreat. As you're listening to this coaching call with Wendy, consider, are you waiting for fear to go away before you do something? Or are you waiting to be confident before you do something? Do you have a story from your childhood that is still influencing how you act in your adulthood? Could any stories from your childhood use some updating? And finally, What are you waiting for? We never have certainty. We never have absolute control over what will happen. So if we wait to feel that, we'll be waiting a really long time. So keep those questions and comments in mind as you listen to my coaching call with Wendy. Wendy, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. And I was kind of debating exactly what's my question to ask, but I think it all comes down to the one thing I keep going back to, and that is how I've been feeling so stuck and frozen when it comes to making decisions in various areas in my life. One of them is, relationships and taking that first step to putting myself out there and allowing myself to be seen. Also, as far as my career, I have a really good job, but for the longest time, part of me is not really happy with where I am. And I know, and I hear, and also working with coaches about following my passion and pursuing that one thing that I really love the most. And obviously that requires to put myself out there and getting over the fear of starting something completely new. So I
want to pause you for 1 second. If I waited to get over the fear of doing something before I did it, I don't think I'd ever do anything. So I just want to, I know this is probably things but I just want to pause because I feel it's important. We live so subconsciously sometimes in when-then type of thinking and want the perfect conditions, and it's protective parts. I have so much love and compassion for these parts of us. And this has less to do with external things you need to check off or even feel, and more to do with that protective part that thinks that in order for you to be totally protected, you have to have no fear and you have to have some certainty. Because we never really do. Even when we think we do, we don't. Not completely. So can you take the steps that you want to take and still have fear? Can that be okay?
Yeah.
So what comes up for you around that?
So stepping back a little bit and allowing myself to have fear. What comes up,
not making the fear a problem, right? Not, it's more than even just allowing it. It's just like, does the fear have to be a problem?
Does the fear have to be a problem? No. I mean, I feel part of it is that it's, in a way, we need it, right? Or I need it to help me understand certain things in my life, or I guess to understand myself, how I can get through that, or with it, going through other challenges in life. But the thing that comes up often is, and looking back, and this is one thing that I realized when I was filling out the form that I sent back about today's call, is taking the first step, right? And the funny thing is that as I was typing that, right away, I remember that I had to see a doctor today because I've been having a lot of pain in my back, lower back, the sacral area kind of on my bones. And I know part of it is my misalignment of the body. Anyway, long story short, what came to mind is that even me as a little girl, taking that first step, it was really painful because I had surgeries when I was a baby. So I know that physically my body has gone through a lot of physical trauma, that even taking that one first step to even start walking was very, very challenging. And from that, I know growing up, I was overly protected. So when it comes coming back to the fear, I feel like obviously I've learned to really pay more attention to the fear and avoid it, because that's what was created around me. Avoid the pain, avoid quote unquote suffering, right? Like avoiding playing around, because as a kid, I was told, don't play so hard because you're going to fall and injure yourself more. So I think even just thinking, well, I can use this fear to help me come along, it's still, I just feel like I don't know how to do that because I never.
Whoa, hold on. Did you hear me say use the fear to help you?
No, that's something that I try to tell myself.
Okay. So is it working? Is telling yourself that working?
No.
So maybe we can drop that one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let me just pause you for a second. What is it that you want to do that you're not doing in your life?
Well, find a loving relationship. That's one of my priorities, which means putting myself out there.
And what does that mean to you? Putting yourself out there?
Meeting people, like not being afraid of meeting someone, whether it's, randomly, if I start going out to social events or even using the apps, I guess really being seen.
Mm-hmm. What scares you about that?
I don't like saying this, but I think part of me still goes back to when I was little, I didn't like to be seen. So I feel like subconsciously there's something that I keep telling myself, I don't want to be seen because I was made fun of, or I guess because of my challenges as a kid, physically especially, I was bullied a lot. So I fear that people will judge me even now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So would it be accurate to say as a kid you didn't want to be seen, or would it be more accurate to say as a kid you didn't want to be judged?
I guess both.
Yeah. Well,
but the main
because
thing, I
being
didn't
seen
want to
you
be
have
seen.
attached to judgment. Like if you were really seen in the true meaning of the word, not just visible, right? Not just a 3D object that other people can see with their eyeballs, but like really seen, you would have been seen for who you truly are, not for any disabilities or anything that made you quote unquote different. Right. So it sounds to me like there's some programming that's in need of an upgrade. It's like you're still using an iPhone from 2016 and going, why isn't this working the way as fast as I want it to? And I have so much compassion for your journey. I mean, having surgeries as a baby is, that's trauma. I want to ask you, did those surgeries enable you to walk, save your life? What was the positive of them?
From what I was told, as I was crawling, it wasn't like a quote unquote normal type of crawling. And when I started walking, I was very wobbly. So I'm guessing the surgeries was supposed to help me better with movement. But at the same time, this is all everything happened when I was in Peru. So my mom, she found some surgeons that were not as good, and they kind of messed it up a couple of surgeries, the very first two. So the ones that corrected the mistake made things better, but also I feel like they damaged my physical body even more. And then, like my mom also, like that's something separate, but I feel like they made it, I guess, better for me to start walking properly.
Okay. So is there a part of you that can see or at least accept that there was some positive there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it now. Right? There's only giving yourself what you weren't able to have as a child.
Right.
Which is now you can move. Now you're not in surgery. And I understand you're having some lower back pain, but I wonder how much of that is tied to beliefs you're still holding.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with me belief. That's a doozy, Wendy, especially if there was something physically wrong with us as a child. I'm not going to say that's an easy one to reprogram, but it's possible. It's possible. And how I've had to reprogram it, because it's one I had too. I didn't have surgeries as a baby. So I'm in no way am I comparison. I'm just more saying this, that I'm not just speaking, as like a coach in this. I'm speaking as a person who has had to reprogram in this. Is it hasn't completely gone away, but I notice when I'm seeing myself and my life through that lens, and I'm able to shift. And so being aware of when you're seeing yourself through that filter, right? Even the pain in your lower back, it probably will ding that there's something wrong with me. Like what is this going to lead to? Right? Yeah. Instead of, all right, there's that belief. I'm starting to go into a bit of a trauma response and a bit of hypervigilance. Okay. What do I need to reassure myself? What do I need? And I'm just going to take this one step at a time right now. I'm having pain in my back. And I'm not going to mean anything more than I'm having some pain in my back. And we work with ourselves to reprogram. And I can also appreciate that your parents or your mom having a child that she was probably scared was going to die is going to make her want to wrap you in cotton wool.
Yeah.
You know that expression? That overprotective parenting. And so with that overprotective parenting, you're going to feel her fear. So I'm not sure how much of this fear that you feel is yours and how much of it was hers that's imprinted upon your nervous system.
Yeah.
And now is the time to give yourself the life that you never got as a child, which is a life not driven by fear. Because your whole childhood, who was in the driver's seat was fear. Of course, it was combined with love. But when you have a child that you perceive as delicate in any way, the child feels that. The child feels the love, but also the fear. So the two have kind of gotten tangled inside of you. So anything that you love, whether it's pursuing a career or a relationship, love and fear go together in your world. Because you probably, as long as you can remember, have never had love without fear.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. And I feel like going back to how you mentioned about my parents, or in this case, my mom, I do feel like a lot of that fear is more, it's her worries, her fear, because she,
of course,
really, and I know that she did it because she was younger. She didn't know what else to do. And I know that she was overly protected because, and also I think around that time she divorced my dad. So she became a single parent again. And so I feel that much of it is more carrying her worries along with me. And even though now she's, like we're, and obviously that kind of different, but now we are much better. But I feel like I'm still carrying that. Whereas I see her now and she's so happy and, and because in her eyes, everything turned out perfect for all of us.
Right. So where do you feel like you're still carrying her fear?
Okay, so maybe one of the things that I see is in relationships, because I know that she had a really hard time with my dad. And after they divorced, I guess she had really a bad set of beliefs about men in general that somehow that kind of passed on with me, even though I know better. I don't share the same beliefs that she had back then, but she never pursue a relationship and she stays single. And every now and then she says, oh, I'm much better off single than with, having to worry about, being in a relationship. But I know, and I didn't grow up with her, first of all. So I feel like I didn't grow up with those beliefs of hers until later on in life when I was a teenager and I lived with her again. And I feel that was when I started dating. And as a teenager, started thinking, oh, like, what do I want in a relationship? I think I like this guy. And for her, it was like, no, all men, they don't see, they don't want the same things as you do. In a way, they are all the same and they're not good people, stuff like that.
Okay, so thank you for sharing so much with me about your life. And there's a lot of different programming, right? There's the fear programming, there you're a delicate flower, there's men are bad. If I could support you in our time together today, which isn't unfortunately super long, if I could support you most with one thing that you've talked about, the making decisions, the not coming from fear, the calling in a relationship, which one do you think feels like the most, like if you could get some support and maybe a miracle, which is the change in perception around one thing, it would be that knot in the tangled necklace that loosens the rest of them.
Right. I feel the feeling confident in putting myself out there to start dating again, being seen and being okay. Like you said, I feel that will allow me to also be more open with people and maybe pursuing more my passion of what I want to do in my career rather, than being in the job where I am.
How do you define confidence? How would you know when you're confident?
I guess when I don't worry.
But is worry part of your wiring? Is that just part of kind of who you are in this lifetime?
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. So this is sort of like the fear to put yourself out there and go after your career. If you're waiting to feel confidence before you start dating, you may never start. If it depends on how you define confidence. So this would be my suggestion. I would forget about confidence and swap it out for intentional. Have such a drop into your intention and your desire to share your life with someone, to feel what it feels like to be loved and seen, and to know that when stuff comes up, you have the tools to support yourself through it. That to me is really what we need the most when we think, oh, I'll just wait for the fear to go away. Or if I could just be confident then. Because a lot of times, especially depending on our wiring and our trauma and all these types of things, that day never comes. And the years go by and we're still waiting and coming more from fear than the truth of who we are and our actual desires. So this is what I would suggest. You can ask me questions after. I want to see how it resonates with you. That your come from is that you're intentional. I'm intentionally calling in my person, which to the nervous system sounds a lot better than putting myself out there. For someone who has fear, that sounds terrifying. I don't want to put myself out there. Put myself out there on what? On a platter? That sounds terrible. But really being intentional about calling and not finding, because if you say finding, it's all on you, right? Calling in my soul match. And I have the confidence in myself that I have the tools and resources I need so that when I run into any bumps along the way, any triggers or heartbreaks or whatever it may be, that I will be able to support myself through that. Because that's where true confidence lies, is if we know that we can be there for ourselves, or in the moments that we can't be there for ourselves, that we reach out for support and someone else can be there with us. So if you can put your confidence in that and your intention in sort of as the gas, that may feel, well, let me ask you, how does that feel?
It feels good. It feels very freeing, being intentional. And I'm guessing, and I guess part of my question is, feeling good with myself and knowing that, or being open to whatever could happen in the day, and just knowing that I can still take care of myself first. And I'm guessing just allowing myself to receive whatever comes up to me in whichever moment that I'm out, or even if it's by myself, just enjoying that little moment that is a little gift that I get to give to me.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That it's not about putting yourself out there to be seen. That sounds very vulnerable, right? But it's being open and intentional about dating and about meeting people, and giving your younger selves that, socially, it didn't go so well, the opportunity to have a different experience. You're not a teenager, right? The world of adults, and some people may disagree with me, but the world of adults is a lot different than the world of teenagers. Sure, there are a lot of adults who kind of got stuck as a nasty teenager. But the people that you want to surround yourself and you're calling in, they're not going to be the same kind of people that bullied you. And so one thing that I find is always useful is to tell those younger parts, hey, 12-year-old or 14-year-old or whatever age your adolescent self really suffered, you don't have to do this with me. This is grown-up stuff. You're safe. I got you. And if anybody treats us poorly, I'll handle it. I'll protect you. It's the confidence in being able to be with ourselves through the hard parts that actually moves us forward, but we think it's sort of like the confidence and not fearing anything bad is going to happen that we need. So you're kind of looking for certainty. At least I hear you looking for certainty. And I'm saying, great, if you want certainty, bet on yourself, not the external world. Because whenever we go after anything, a work, relationship, whatever it is, there's definitely the possibility of judgment. There's definitely the possibility of rejection. There's definitely the possibility of heartache. We can't bet on that not happening. And we can't bet on the fact that we're not going to get upset by it. But we can bet on that if we do get upset, if we do triggered, we're going to be okay. We've got ourselves. How does that feel in your nervous system?
It feels good. It feels way better because also as you were talking, what was coming to mind is even now as an adult, and that you were saying that, talking to that younger version of me, like for instance, when I'm out and about, whether it's with friends who I've had for a long time or meeting new people, for example, they do notice that I have like a limp. And I think part of it is because of the surgeries that I had as a baby, right? Like my body's just different. And for the longest time, until maybe recently, whenever people ask or mention that, I always deny it because there's shame, right? And oh no, and I'll make something up like, oh, I fell or something to hide myself. And in that moment, I remember always getting very nervous because it's like people are calling me out, putting me out. And I guess bringing me back to the moments that I really felt like people were judging me, even though they're not judging, but they're just asking like, oh, like, what's wrong? Like, did you hurt yourself? And I know they care. So I know part of it's more about me going back to the past than them now judging me. But recently, I just started to kind of like telling myself, you don't need to lie about it. Just tell them the truth. As a baby, I had surgeries, and I think, it's because of that, which feels better. But then part of me still feels, I guess, the shame or the pain because I tend to feel for the little Wendy that maybe she didn't get to have somebody to let her know that it's okay to tell the truth,
All right. So would you like to liberate her?
Oh, yeah.
You know exactly how to do it. Start telling the truth.
Yeah.
And anyone that you'd want in your life is only going to be like, oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. That must have been really difficult, or will be curious and want to know. Not many people get operated on as a baby. And like, you are a soul that came in with that curriculum. And, I'm just going to kind of go out on a limb here. Just imagine your baby self is saying, Wendy, or your soul is saying, Wendy, we chose to have all that surgery and all that difficulty like early in life so we could just get it over with. So you didn't need to do it later. And you're still like thinking that it's a problem, but like on a soul level, we chose to get it done early. So it was done and we can move on.
Yeah, that feels better.
And who knows which is more true, whatever we decide. And I always love to believe that whatever feels better in my body is more true. So your life could dramatically change if you, yes, had compassion for those younger parts of you that went through the difficulty and the pain. And on a soul level, could be like, you know what? I came in as a soul and decided to clear a lot of my physical karma early in my life. And now I'm going to enjoy this body and enjoy this life and not look at it like this huge liability that's metaphorically crippling my life, even though I can walk. So my encouragement is going to be for you to really step forward into your body, into your life. So if you were to do that, like really step forward, what would one step be?
Back to what you were saying, and what I feel like it feels better and to tell the truth, when the occasion comes up and people ask me, and not just about the physical aspect of my body, but in general, like I feel like I always
Mhm.
try to make look or seem better on the outside, but it's such a weight that is lifted off when I actually am honest with people and don't hide those
Yeah.
parts of me. And you're right. Whenever there was like the few opportunities that I took, I mentioned, oh, I had surgery as a baby and I went through this and that. And people are, I feel, genuinely curious and show compassion,
Yeah.
And like you said, they say, oh, wow, like you've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And they know, my health journey as well up until now. So they're like, you're always showing up, smiling and having fun and everything. And it never shows that you've gone through hard times.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel some of those things will be being honest with myself
Yeah.
as well as with other people I'm with. And I choose to open myself up to. Probably, I feel like also doing some physical activities to allow my physical body to open up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I maybe part of the pain or whatever I'm going through right now, it probably is, some of the energy that is just not like letting itself getting free. And
Mm-hmm.
also because, like I mentioned, as a kid, I was told no, can't play,
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
this. A lot of no that I heard, that I wasn't able to do. And so I feel maybe also doing things that even quote unquote challenging myself to do
Yeah.
would have not, done as a kid.
Yeah. And not in and challenging yourself, if that word works for you, great. I also really love encouraging,
Mm,
because part of what, parents that aren't super overprotective do is encourage. Yeah. Climb that big tower, jump
yeah.
off that couch, try out for the lead in the play, write the essay to try to get in that college.
Mm,
Ask that person out.
yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
encouraging yourself. Like, you can do this, Wendy. And if it doesn't work out, I got you. So those
Mm,
are amazing action steps. I love those. And just not so much an action step, but something I would just underline is stop waiting for fear to go away. Stop waiting to feel confident.
mm-hmm.
Like, you endured a lot. Your body's been through a lot. And I have a feeling that there's a soul in there that really wants to stop waiting to live.
Yeah. I feel that too. And sometimes it's like I'm sitting, journaling or just thinking things through. And it's like I almost like visualize her and kind of like waiting for me to open the door up,
Mm-hmm.
for her.
Mm-hmm.
And but then
Yeah.
again, like this is just like to say how this whole thing started when I came to talk to you, then fear comes in and then I just kind of like choose to stay there. But
Yeah.
no, like I feel maybe focusing more in that vision of me wait,
Mm-hmm.
let
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
myself be free.
And when the fear comes in, it's not a problem. Hello,
Mm,
fear. You're an old familiar blanket. Of course you're here. You've always been here. Anytime I took a step, literally and metaphorically.
yeah.
And I'm going to work with you. I'm not going to let you be a roadblock or let you convince me that I shouldn't.
Mm,
I really believe in you, Wendy. I believe that you can reprogram and update. It's kind of like updating your operating system in your thinking.
mm-hmm.
There's the realities of things that have happened in our life, and then there's our thinking. And our thinking sometimes makes the reality the perceived reality a lot worse than it actually is, and a lot more scary than it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has this helped a bit?
Yes, it does. It does help a lot.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for your courage, for trusting me with your story, and for being another human being on the planet who's willing to break free of trauma, break free of generational patterns, and liberate yourself from a lot of the stories you're telling yourself. So the human experience is an interesting one. There's so much challenge and trauma that so many of us go through, and it is of paramount importance to have compassion for that. And at some point in our journey, we choose, does my trauma continue to be a liability and the reason I don't have what I want in life? Or is my trauma that I've processed, that I've healed to the best of my ability, was it a way that my soul evolved in this lifetime? And can I actually put it behind me? And when I say put it behind me, I don't mean brush it under the rug. I don't mean it goes away, but to rightfully put it in the past so that we don't keep fearing that we have to relive it in the present over and over and over again. Again, this is why I'm so passionate about the women's retreat, is because I facilitate an experience for you to do that, for you to be able to transmute your trauma and really reclaim who you are and how it served you. You know, that conversation I had with Wendy about her soul, you know, choosing to go through a lot of physical surgeries and things early in her life. I don't know. It could be quite possible that her soul was like, I want to get this out of the way early. And her soul is like, wait, we're supposed to actually be living our life now. We got all that out of the way early on so that we could live now. And I see so often, so many of us get stuck in our pain bodies and in our stories. And so I just want to call you forward into truth that it's really a both and. Yes, it's important to heal our trauma. You can go back and listen to my Coach's Corner with Dr. Amy, where we talked about the biology of trauma. There is a time for that. That is necessary. And then there comes a point where we choose to liberate ourselves from the story. And in that, we liberate the inner child from so much of that experience of trauma. If we keep trying to protect ourselves and limiting our experience and our expression on this planet, then kind of the trauma wins, right? And it's not like a battle against trauma, but you get what I'm saying. You know, what happened, happened. Yes, we need our time to process it, to heal it. And then there's a choice to start telling a different story, to start thinking different thoughts. And it's not overnight. It doesn't have to be super drastic, but gradually breaking those patterns of thoughts that keep us constricted, that keep us in our old story, gradually breaking those, chipping away at them over time, and then powerfully making choices that move us in a forward direction is what we're here for. I mean, that's human evolution. All right, everybody. That's all for today. I'm sending you so much love and many blessings. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Life Coaching. I hope something you heard today resonated with you and helped you to see yourself with more clarity and compassion. Remember, every shift, no matter how small you think it is part of your healing. If this episode supported you, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a review. It means the world to me. If you'd like to connect with me, come say hi on Instagram at Christine Hassler. And if you feel called to be coached live on the show, you can apply at christinehassler.com/waitlist. For courses, retreats, and more resources to support your journey, visit christinehassler.com. You're not alone in this journey, and I'm grateful to walk it with you. Until next time.